Hey guys, it's Alicia from StudyCollab, and today's video is the first of a new series on my channel called How to IB. So basically in this video I'm just going to be sharing with you my experience through the IB and hopefully give you some tips and advice as to how to go about different stages of the course, and also just general advice for those of you who are either about to start the IB, you're in the IB, or you're about to take your final exams. Hopefully this will apply to all of you. Just to make things easier and save a little bit of your time, I'm going to leave timestamps in the description so you can skip ahead to whatever section is most relevant to you, or you can just watch the whole thing if you feel like it.
That would be great.
Okay. So, in case you didn't know already, I took my exams in the November 2018 session, and I'll give you a rundown of the subjects that I did. So my Group 1 subject was English A, Language and Literature. I did that at high level. My Group 2 subject was Chinese B, and I did that at standard level. Group 3 was Economics, and I did that at high level. Group 4 was Chemistry, did that at high level. Group 5 was Maths, and I did that at standard level. And then Group 6, I didn't do an art subject, but I swapped it for another science, and I did Biology, which I did at standard level. And then my EE was in Economics, and then Talk and Cast is the same as everyone else. With that aside, let's get straight into the video. So the first section I just wanted to touch upon was pre-IB. So there's a few things you might want to consider before taking the IB program, and also just at the beginning how to sort of get used to things. I'll give you some advice and what I did myself. The first thing I would do if you haven't started the IB is do your own research and really work out if the IB is right for you. Now the IB program is very different to a lot of the other national programs they do, like in Australia the HSC, it's very different to that. A-levels, it's also very different to that. Just because first of all the IB has a lot of coursework, there's also that core part of the IB that makes it really unique. So that's where you do an extended essay, theory of knowledge and CAS. Yeah, so doing your own research is really important because I found the IB really lended itself to independent learners. There's so much content and you have to be able to juggle all these different subjects along with the core components. And then at the same time, there's a lot of flexibility in terms of deciding your SLs and HLs, but there's also a restriction in terms of what subjects you can do because you have to do Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, etc. So make sure you really scope out what the IB is about, because once you get into the IB, there's sort of no turning back. You kind of have to just go for it. And then the second thing I wanted to touch upon was subject selection. So choosing your subjects before you go into the IB is a really important stage. For me, I chose mine based on subjects that I liked and also what I needed for university. So these are two sort of criteria you can follow to help you decide. In the IB, it's more straightforward in terms of they give you certain choices you have to pick out of, whereas like in the HSC you can sort of specialize if you really know what you want to do. Say for example you really are a humanities person, you can take like three or four different humanities because English is the only required subject for you to do, whereas in the IB you can only do at the most 2. When you're choosing your subjects, don't just pick subjects that you've heard people say are easy. 2 limitations to this is, first of all, what's easy for someone else might not be easy for you. Everyone has a different standard and you sort of just have to judge yourself once you're in the subject. The second drawback is just because it's easy doesn't mean you're going to enjoy it. A really important part of the IB is staying motivated, and this helps a lot if you really enjoy your subjects and you find the content interesting, because you're going to want to sit down and study it. It's less of a task in some respects. But at the same time you also want to be ensuring that you're keeping in mind your university prerequisites. And this might not apply to all unis and all countries, but I know for the UK there's pretty strict prerequisites in terms of, like, if you want to do medicine then you have to take chemistry and maths or chemistry and biology at higher level. They really specify what level as well you need to take it at. So if you look at my subject choices, you'll see they're very broad. I had a pretty strong idea of what I wanted to do at university, so subject choice wasn't that difficult for me. But in terms of, like, if you're choosing between like English A, Language and Literature, or English Lit, I found Lang Lit really fun. If you are like a bookworm, then you might want to opt for Literature. Just this is an example of how I chose subjects that I thought I would enjoy more. That's another reason why you should do research before you go into the IB, because you don't want to be stuck halfway through trying to apply for university and then realizing you didn't take this subject or you didn't take it at the right level. You want to make the process of entering university as easy as possible for yourself. So currently I'm in university in Australia, and I just wanted to touch upon why I chose the IB over the HSC even though I was studying in Australia. My first reason is that I preferred the style of the IB in terms of making you a more all-rounded student. It really gives you an open mind and become more internationally minded, like the IB says, through things like TOC. Whilst I didn't really understand it at the time, it does help in terms of making you become a more critical thinker. And then like the EE, that was a really rewarding process because it helps in university to have written this 4,000 word essay and know how to go about the process. And then things like CAS, you're going to want to be doing extracurriculars in your final years of high school to balance the academic work, and to get credit for it is even better, so that's great. And then another factor that's really great about the IB is that it's not as competitive as some of the other courses. The IB is sort of like you, independent, you do your work and you'll be rewarded for how much effort you put in. And also the IB has really favourable ATAR conversions to Australia, so if you're going to study in Australia, do consider taking the IB as well, because that's another great thing for university admission. The last thing I wanted to touch upon was a few questions that I've gotten asked by people who are about to start the IB on what they should do to prepare, in terms of should they study the content, should they read ahead, things like that. Personally, I don't think it's necessary to start the content early, just because you're going to learn it at some stage in the course when it's most appropriate, because your teacher will fit that within a schedule. But at the same time, when you're in the IB, you're going to be using some of your holiday breaks to study or stay on top of your IAs and stuff. So really take that break before you actually go into the program to just chill and do whatever you want. If you want to sit around and be a blob all day, then you can do that, because now is your chance to. Make sure you get all the rest you can before you actually go into the program, so you have the right mindset and you're heading in all fresh and new into a 2-year program. Because trust me, once you have holidays in the IB, you're going to be jealous of the times where you had that long break and you could do nothing all day and it wouldn't matter. With that being said, I'm not stopping you from reading ahead. If you want to, then go ahead. That's a good job on your part. But if it's something you have to force yourself to do before the holidays, then I don't recommend it. However, there is one thing I would say you can do to prepare for the IB, and that is just get organised before you start, because a big factor into doing well and staying on top of all your work is staying organised. And this doesn't have to be done throughout the whole holidays. You can literally do it the day before you start year 11. What I would do is set up an organisation system, so when you're going out to buy all your school supplies for the next 2 years, buy all your binders and folders and notebooks, whatever you need, and work out how you're going to write your notes, how you're going to file them, and organise them in a way that when you're at the end of the 2-year course, you can still find things you did on the first day. If you're unsure of how to set up an organisation system, I have a video up on my channel, which I'll leave on the info button. I don't really know which side it is. I think it's this one. I don't know. Up there on the info button, you can click a video and I'll show you step by step the system that I used in the IB and what really worked for me and helped. And also with the binders and notebooks, also get a planner, because that's really important to write down all your assessments and exams. Okay, so I was just editing this video and realised that I obviously talk too much and this video is longer than I intended it to be. So I'm going to split this tips and advice video up into a few parts. This video is obviously pre-IB advice, so whether or not you should take the IB, my take on it. The next video will be more sort of generalised, so if you're not taking the IB, it will still relate to you, because it's more advice on starting a new course and how to get off to a good start and stay consistent. So keep an eye out on my channel within the next few days and that video will be uploaded. But in the meantime, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you found it useful, let me know down in the comments below. And also subscribe to my channel, because we are nearly at 100,000 subscribers, which is so cool. Yeah. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!